What's going on, everybody? Jeremiah here from Babbling My Backyard. In today's video, we're going to be visiting a hotel and farm in Costa Rica. This farm is doing amazing stuff. Stick around and don't miss out on what this farm is up to. Valle, Escondido, and Hidden Valley Farm are located in the Mante Verde area of Costa Rica. Hidden Valley Farm is up to some really cool stuff with regenerative agriculture and permaculture design. This is the second time I've been to the farm. The first time in 2019 I brought my son and we had a great time and we learned a lot while we were touring.
This Costa Rican hotel is doing an amazing job at growing the food that they feed their customers. For example, coffee plants, banana trees, and many other plants that you saw over there.
This time, my wife and I spent a little bit more time with the owner, Jonah. I had Jonah walk us through the spiel that they give to the guests as they check into the hotel.
In general, the idea behind this project is to use the economic base of tourism to promote sustainable design and protection of natural environments. So we're basically using tourism as a broadcasting venue for sustainable design. And because of that, right here in front of reception, we have a little example of permaculture principle number 2, which is catch and store energy. So here we catch the water off the roof. 1 square meter of roof surface area and 1 millimeter of rain will give you 1 liter of water you can catch. So we collect that water off the roof. It goes into this wine barrel. Inside this wine barrel is a type of plant called the water hyacinth, which has tremendous surface area across its roots. This is an important element of the design process here for a few different reasons. One, it balances the pH of rainwater, cleans the water, adds oxygen to it, and inside the roots here there's a photosynthetic bacteria that we cultivate and use for a probiotic for the health of other plants. One of the other main uses we use for this is it just reproduces like crazy, so it's a big biomass. So we use it for generating healthy soil. Also, when there's fish nibble on the roots, and we don't have any fish in this bucket, not that I know of, but it provides a place for them to hide underneath as well when the birds are going over. So we collect the water of the rain, the energy of the plants, and then above here is a little worm compost. The worms are up here, and we just bring a little bit of compost from the kitchen. Down here you can see this is their castings. The liquid drips in through here, then drips into this tube. And worms are an amazing asset. Healthy soil would not exist if it weren't for worms. Basically, they're little microbe factories. They eat microbes and produce more microbes. So they make this liquid. Some people call it worm juice. And that drips in here to the bucket, mixes with this water, and then that gravity feeds here into this little greenhouse. Unfortunately, people are calling Jonah tubes.
These Jonah tubes are awesome. They literally are growing most of the greens that are served in the hotel's cafe. The way that he's reusing the tires and the roofing material to make these beds is pretty genius. On my channel, you see I use a lot of times barrels, and I split the barrels, and I get the barrels for free from my work. If you don't have access to barrels, it's pretty easy to get a hold of some garbage tires and some roofing material and build something like this. And the really cool thing is they've got these things set up so that they're watered 100% off of gravity feed from the rainwater.
Anyway, this is a design I came up with a couple of used truck tires, used roof laminates. The only thing that we bought to make this one was the plastic and this inside mesh and the supports that hold that up. So this costs right around $25 to make. We have a donation program. It's part of our nonprofit mission to get these into as many kindergartens as possible so the little ones can understand that produce doesn't just come from the supermarket. It also comes from good planning and organic gardening and connecting to the earth. Inside here This is activated mulch. Slow down, then we get in the forest here and we bring it in and soak it in microorganism mixtures that we cultivate in a fermentation. So it's a fermentation with microorganisms we collected in the forest. This also we soak is biochar. This is activated charcoal. We soak this. Also, sometimes we soak this in the worm juice. So basically what's happening here is this soil is full of the energy of the microbes from this forest. And that forest has that evolutionary history that supports life. So if we cultivate those microbes, take them here, and then grow vegetables in them, those vegetables are going to grow more acclimated to this biome, to this environment, more resistant to disease and plagues, and basically more in balance and in harmony with the ecology of Mante Verde, of this specific part of Mante Verde. So I think it's around 5 examples: the rain, the plants, the worms, the compost, reused materials, and then producing healthy vegetables. 5 different examples of catching and storing energy, which is permaculture principle number 2.
One of the things that I appreciate about Jonah is that he really does a good job at explaining some of his learnings through experimenting. Just like all of us, he has made some mistakes, and through those mistakes he figures out the best way to make his property work.
Right behind us, human space, human habitation, that is definitely a human sector. Over there we've got primary forest, and then we're migrating now into secondary forest. So as we were talking about before, when you had the edge of 2 different environments, you often have increased diversity in the interaction between the 2 environments. In terms of a sector, this space where we are right now was a huge animal sector. This was where there was a lot of movement going on. Why? Because they didn't want to be up there where the humans are, and over there is cliff face. And so this was a place where they were always moving through. So part of my design error, a flaw in my initial design, was using this as zone 1. We're pretty far away from the kitchen. Coming over here takes a lot of energy if we're coming back and forth throughout the day. It was, I thought, a great way of using our Greywater, but there was just way too many animals here. And so food production was a constant task. I thought about fencing off this area, but that would have been not integrating. That definitely would have been segregating and didn't make sense within a huge animal sector, because this is where they want to be. So we shifted this from zone 1 gardening to zone 3, zone 4 crops, mostly bananas and fruit trees.
One of the coolest things that I learned while at Hidden Valley Farms was probably something that I could have spent all day learning about, and that was compost. They had a whole facility dedicated to composting and testing soils.
So the diversity of microbes in this soil here is the evolution of microbes of this part of the world. If you can take these guys, harvest them, give them everything they need, cultivate them, and then grow a carrot out of them, that carrot is going to grow more resistant to plagues from this area. It's going to grow stronger and more acclimated. I always like quoting this. This comes from the movie Kiss the Ground. There's more microbes in this hand than humans have ever existed on the face of the earth. And so giving these guys what they need, letting them do what they do so well, is part of regenerative agriculture and part of the design process of permaculture that we're using. So having this compost here in this mix of primary and secondary forest with all the diversity of microbes, this is basically a trap. And we've tested this by coming out, taking a handful of the soil, putting out in a petri dish with organic brown rice, and just watching how many different colors of mycelium you get.
Jonah walked us through the Greywater terrace system that they have developed for growing all of their fruit trees. They're in the middle of building another layer to this terrace, so he was able to show us what it looks like at this stage.
We'll basically just have a valve off of this, or we might decide to run just laundry water to here. I'm not quite sure yet. These rocks are here just so that we can build up and hold this bank together. Here in this part of the tropics, we have a lot of clay. So when the water comes in here, it's going to be nice and level. This area here along the edge, we dug down with gravel and then put the rocks on top. So when we get this working, we'll just shave away a little bit of this ground, and then the water will start to filter down through these terraces. And these terraces, just like those over there, we built by digging trenches down and filling it with debris from the forest. These are fence posts from a type of wood called guachipalin, which is a great hardwood, but they will eventually rot away. So to deal with that, we've planted live fence posts along the edge so that when these guys are gone, these terraces will be living. This is the watite, which is partly a nitrogen fixer, also produces berries. So after these guys go, these are going to be an integral part of these living terraces. If you want to understand how much water a plant's taking up, you basically just look at the size of its leaf. And bananas are great for a couple of reasons. One is they're huge biomass producers, so as these leaves get old, we just come in here with a machete, chop them off, let them drop down. They help regenerate the soil, as well as they're high in potassium, so they're good companion plants. Potassium, nitrogen, phosphate, part of the essential nutrients for plants to grow.
Hopefully you guys like this as much as my wife and I liked it. If you're ever in Costa Rica, do yourself a favor and head up to Mante Verde. Mante Verde is probably one of my favorite areas of all of Costa Rica. And if you're in Mante Verde, you have to go to Valle Escondido, Nature Reserve, Hotel and Farm. You can just go and enjoy the nature reserve. You could just go and do a permaculture tour. You do not have to stay there. But I do recommend that you stay there, and I do recommend that you eat at the cafe. The pizzas are phenomenal. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of the stuff that I'm putting in place in my backyard from my learnings at the farm. We'll see you in another video.